Merry Christmas. Uh, I made a mistake. I started my attempt at posting a video every day the day before Christmas Eve, which is notoriously the most lazy day, the most do nothing day of the year for me. I never do anything on Christmas Eve. That is my day where I get to just be a complete sack of potatoes all day long. It is currently 11:35 p.m. and I have watched the finale of The Mighty Nine and ate pizza. That's what I've done today. And I refuse to change a lifelong tradition just because I am really bad at keeping track of time and dates. So instead, you're going to get a video from the vault. I'm going to edit it and upload it as quickly as I possibly can because I already have it started. I just never finished it. But I filmed this back when I was living in the city. So I was still in my apartment. This was earlier this year. Pretty much right after I started playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time. So I have everything recorded. I haven't looked back and watched it yet, so I don't know what the voiceover is like. I don't know what the footage is like. I just know how the finished paintings turned out. So without further ado, here is my attempts to paint Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3 from about probably like 6 or 7 months ago. Enjoy!
Fuck it. Move around this way. Alright. Hello, darlings. This video is brought to you out of pure, unadulterated spite. Everything is going wrong that could go wrong. These two paintings took way too long and way too many tries. You'll see that. Anyway, for my birthday in March, I bought myself the game Baldur's Gate 3, and while I knew what it was going to be like, just kind of because I'm a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, I did not expect to fall absolutely head over heels in love with it. I have owned it for about 2 months now, and I am on my third run, second Dark Urge run, and I've already put well over 200 hours into the game, which is not something that I'm bragging about, something I'm admitting. I decided to take some of that hyperfixated energy and do what I do best, which is create something, to make something, to do art, because I am technically an artist. So yeah, this was supposed to be like a really quick, easy painting of my favorite character. I figured I'd known his face. I've drawn him several times already. I watched him cavort around my monitor for literally hundreds of hours. So I figured I'd just set up my camera, film a nice little time lapse, maybe attempt to make a TikTok out of it, like a real person in 2025, and call it a day. No, it started out great. Everything was awesome, and it was set up to be this really nice, smooth process. I had a sketch I was really happy with, the concept I was really happy with. I even did this really cool effect on the background that I was really excited about. And then I pulled the liquid frisket off and you could hardly see it. It took me like 30 minutes to just get it on there and let it dry, but whatever. Anyway, I had settled on a palette. I was ready to paint, and I didn't didn't like the first go. Something felt off, and so I changed up the lighting a little bit, made it a little more dynamic. And his face, what is happening with his face? Oh well, we'll just keep working on it. Maybe if I add the scars, it'll look a little better. And we're just gonna walk away from that. We're gonna go to bed, and we can reassess in the morning. I mixed an entirely new palette focusing on the different skin tones, really putting a lot of time into the skin tones, painted over all of the work that I had done before, just a blank slate pretty much. And I was really happy with the colors and how the shading on his back was turning out. I even had this like really fun sort of brush texture that I managed to get, but I could not get his face right. I don't know how many times I've drawn this character's face, and I couldn't get it right. I was struggling with his hair. I always struggle with hair. I thought that adding the scars would make me like it more, but it really just made it feel a lot more messy to me. I liked the first go round with the scars a lot more than I liked the second go round. Just sucks. I tried to clean things up as best as I could, and I added some gold to the background off camera in hopes that it would make it better somehow. And I wish I had just left it as it is. Um, I couldn't get the gold clean enough. I used liquid gold leaf, and I didn't have a detail brush that I was willing to sacrifice for it, and that was a really big mistake. I should have just sacrificed one of my little brushes. It would have been fine. I don't hate it now as much as I did while I was painting it, and for like the next couple weeks after I painted it, but I just, there's something just kind of off about it. I was so frustrated by this painting uh, that I scrapped the entire thing. So I needed to do something a little bit better. So I started over completely, and I went a completely different route with it. I chose a much softer expression for my second go around, and I decided to paint him head on instead of trying any sort of fancy poses. I was super happy with my sketch. I started the background, painted it green. Green is fine, and then I ruined it with the blue, and I wish I would have painted the circle green and left the rest of it white, but whatever. We'll just swap our palettes over again and paint the green red, because red is always good. And then I decided that I wanted a base color because I don't like painting on white, especially when I'm doing acrylics. I like having a nice solid color behind that can like poke through if there's any patchy spots. I almost lost my sketch doing this, but he survived. We did it. I do like using uh, watercolor for my base layer if I am working on paper. This I was using watercolor paper, and so I used watercolor because the green will kind of bleed through into the paints as you layer it onto it, and so you kind of get this nice cohesive look without actually putting a lot of effort into it. I decided to tackle the hair and the shirt first since I struggle with hair and clothing, and I wanted to get the worst bits out of the way, and also they use the same colors, the same palette, so I wanted to get that out of the way. Uh, the idea was to get the worst bits done first so that I can just blow through the actual painting of the face, but that's Alberiok on my face because somehow I completely forgot how to paint faces, even though that's like my favorite thing to paint. I consider myself a portrait artist because I love doing portraits. I've been doing it for the better half of 2 decades at this point. Somehow, this one got lost in translation. I started blocking out the shadows and the highlights on the face using the same palette as the other painting because I thought that I liked that palette, only to decide that it was way too cool tone and he was looking a little too dead. I know he's a vampire, but in all of my reference pictures, he still has a little bit of warmth to his skin, and I like that, especially in like a nice, softer pose. So I threw out that palette, completely started over, added some yellow, and I'm actually really happy with how the colors ended up. He's still quite pale and has that sort of like undead pallor to him, but he still has a little bit of life. At some point, I lost his nose. I don't know what happened. It just got swallowed up by the paint, and I kept going back to try and fix it. And I got close enough for me to say that it's good enough and to leave it alone in the end, but I don't think it's quite right. Even now, when I look at the final piece, I think his face is just a little too long, and I don't know, somewhere the nose got fucked up. I darkened some of the shadows, added some fine lines to the hair and around his eyes, and I decided that it was fine and that I was tired and happy enough to just call it finished. So I signed it in the most unsatisfying manner that I possibly could have, removed masking tape, and spent another 20 minutes off camera changing the placement of his irises and futzing with his hair before I actually called it quits.
And we're back 7 months later, and I have some thoughts. First thought, hated the outro that I recorded 7 months ago, so we're doing it again. Second thought, audio sucked back then. What was I doing? I could hardly hear anything. I'm going to have to seriously dampen the audio that I'm recording now, just so it's not blasting people's ears out after they try and turn up the volume on their devices to hear whatever I was trying to say back then. Third thought, I did not show the final pieces, but I have them here. I have the first piece. Feelings on this one are still kind of the same. I think his face is just... I did not do a good job on the face. I do not like the gold on the background. I think had I actually used a detail brush, it would have looked better. I do like the concept for the background. I may do something similar in future pieces. Second piece. I think that this one is not as bad as I thought it was 7 months ago. I think that this one is not as good as I thought it was 7 months ago. His face is just wrong. I think I tried to trick myself into thinking that it was better than it was. I really do genuinely wish that I had not fucked the background so much. I guess I was just on a kick of fucking the background. I think had I done a red circle behind him, it would have been much better and left the rest of it white. I think that would have been a lot more in line with the character. His face is slightly off-center. His nose, I said it in the voiceover, I could not get his nose right. This one, potentially, I might redo it. In my original outro, I said I might sell prints of this. That's not gonna happen. It doesn't look like him. 2 more thoughts before we go. Filming at night makes for much worse lighting than filming in front of a window in direct daylight. And next thought is that, holy shit, I did not realize how different I look now compared to last time. One, because it's the middle of the night, I'm in my pajamas, and I did not put any effort into my appearance, and 2, because I stopped taking testosterone, which has made me much less angular. So that's something for me to think about and spiral about for the rest of the night. But that's it. I will see you tomorrow. Merry Christmas.